Your credit score is quietly costing you money every single month, or it is quietly saving you money. Almost nobody is neutral. According to FICO's most recent national analysis, published in April 2025, the average American credit score stands at 715. That sounds decent, until you realize that only 24.4% of Americans have reached the 800 or above tier, and that the financial gap between a 715 and an 800-plus score is not a matter of bragging rights. On a 30-year mortgage for the average loan amount of $402,173, that was the national average according to the Mortgage Bankers Association in late 2024. The difference between the highest and lowest credit tiers amounts to approximately $165 less per month and $59,274 less in total interest over the life of the loan. That is $59,000 earned or lost entirely by a three-digit number. And if you have ever wondered why some people seem to access a financial world with better rates, better terms, and better options, this is a significant part of the answer. Today, you are going to understand exactly how that number works, why most people stall where they are, and what a focused 6-month effort actually looks like. Let's start with the behavioral reason most people are stuck at average. FICO's Fall 2025 Credit Insights report revealed that the middle score range, between 600 and 749, actually shrank between 2021 and 2025, with consumers drifting toward both the top and the bottom. What separates the people drifting up from those drifting down is almost never income, education level, or raw intelligence. It is a set of automatic behaviors that either protect and build credit or silently erode it. Behavioral economists call this the difference between deliberate action and passive default, the financial version of what James Clear described in Atomic Habits as the difference between outcomes driven by identity versus outcomes driven by reaction. The people at 760 or above are generally not smarter. They have built systems that keep their credit health stable without requiring willpower or constant vigilance. Here is what the score actually measures. Because the most common misunderstanding about credit is that it is some vague judgment of your overall financial responsibility. FICO uses 5 specific factors with precise weights. Payment history accounts for 35% of your score, the single largest piece. The amounts you owe, heavily weighted toward credit utilization, accounts for 30%. Length of credit history is 15%. Credit mix, meaning variety of account types, is 10%, and new credit inquiries account for the remaining 10%. If you understand those 5 buckets and prioritize in order of weight, you have a clear blueprint. Most people do not have this blueprint. They treat their credit score as something that happens to them rather than something they are actively shaping. Payment history, the 35% factor, comes down to one thing: never missing a due date. That sounds obvious, but FICO's April 2025 data found that over 18% of the American population had a past due payment on at least one credit account in the previous 12 months, and that was an increase of 5% from the year before. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans had dinged the most heavily weighted factor in their score within the last year, and the behavioral mechanism driving most of those misses is not financial hardship. It is attention failure, a bill slipping through during a busy week, a payment date that got confused with another, a card that felt paid but was not. Kahneman's research on cognitive load applies here. When your attention is taxed, automatic systems fail and defaults take over. The solution to payment history is not discipline, it is automation. Every single credit account you have should be set to auto-pay at minimum the minimum payment, not because you will pay only the minimum, but because auto-pay eliminates the possibility of a missed payment entirely. You can pay more manually anytime you choose, but the floor is always protected. The second factor, credit utilization, is where most people making a genuine push toward 800 run into a wall they did not know was there. The conventional advice is to keep utilization below 30%. That is technically accurate as a threshold for avoiding score damage, but it is not the benchmark of people who actually live above 800. According to LendingTree's analysis of FICO data, consumers with exceptional scores of 800 or higher carry an average credit utilization ratio of 7.1%, not 30%, not 15%, 7.1%. The average American, by contrast, was sitting at 35% utilization as of April 2024, per FICO's own data. That single gap, from 35% down to 10% or below, is responsible for more score improvement than almost anything else a person can do in a short time window. If you are carrying balances on multiple cards and your total utilization is above 30%, addressing this is the fastest legitimate lever available to you. Here is the thing. You do not have to pay off everything at once to move your score. Utilization is reported as a snapshot, the balance on your statement date relative to your limit. If you make an extra payment before your statement closes, your reported utilization drops. And there is a second approach that does not require paying down any debt at all, requesting a credit limit increase on existing cards you have managed responsibly for at least 12 months. If your limit goes from $5,000 to $8,000 and your balance stays at $1,500, your utilization just went from 30% to 18.75%, from a category that damages your score to one that helps it. This is one of the few credit moves that costs nothing and has an immediate directional impact. The third factor, length of credit history, at 15%, is the one most people inadvertently undermine. Every time someone closes an old credit card account, they shorten their average account age, which pulls this category down. The card you have had the longest, even if you barely use it, is the anchor of your credit history. Keep it open. Use it for one small, recurring purchase per month and put it on autopay. The card does its work simply by existing and aging. Closing it the moment you feel done with it is one of the more reliably self-defeating moves in personal credit management, a financial equivalent of what Thaler's research on mental accounting identifies as narrow framing, treating a single account in isolation without accounting for its role in the larger picture. The fourth and fifth factors, credit mix and new inquiries, require context. A healthy credit mix means having both revolving credit, like credit cards, and installment credit, like a car loan, student loan, or personal loan. You do not need to take on debt just to create mix. But if you have only one type of credit, diversifying over time does have a measurable positive effect. For new inquiries, applying for multiple credit products within a short window signals credit-seeking behavior and temporarily reduces your score. The key word is temporarily. FICO's scoring ignores hard inquiries after 12 months, and they fall off your report entirely at 24 months. Space out applications by at least 6 months, and you manage this factor with almost no effort. Now let's talk about what a realistic 6-month arc actually looks like, because the title of this video makes a promise, and that promise deserves honesty. If your current score is in the 650 to 720 range, a focused 6 months of work on the two highest weight factors, payment history and utilization, can realistically move you into the 760 to 790 territory, and potentially above 800 depending on your starting point. What it requires is autopay on every account set up this week, a serious effort to reduce or strategically manage your utilization below 10%, no new hard inquiries during the period, and protecting your oldest accounts by keeping them active. What it does not require is any new financial product, any credit repair service, or any technique that sounds clever but adds complexity. The score rewards boring, consistent behavior over time. Here is the concrete step for this week. Go to annualcreditreport.com, the only federally authorized free source, and pull your credit reports from all 3 bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You are looking for 2 things. First, any errors, accounts you do not recognize, incorrect balances, or payments marked late that were actually paid on time. Errors are more common than most people assume, and under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you have the right to dispute them directly with the Bureau at no cost. Second, calculate your total utilization. Add up all your current balances. Divide by your total credit limits across all cards. If that number is above 20%, this is where your focus goes first. Then, log into each credit card account and set autopay. Both steps take less than 90 minutes and address the 2 factors that control 65% of your score. One last piece of context that reframes why all of this matters beyond mortgages. Self-Financial's analysis of FICO data found that drivers with poor credit pay 118% more for full coverage auto insurance compared to drivers with excellent credit. Your credit score affects your insurance premiums, your ability to rent an apartment without a large security deposit, your negotiating position with landlords, and in some states, your screening eligibility for certain jobs. It is not a measure of your character or your worth. It is a number that lenders and other institutions use to price risk, and the people who understand that it can be shaped and actively shape it access a measurably different set of financial options than the people who do not. The core behavioral shift this video is asking you to make is to stop treating your credit score as something that happens to you and start treating it as a system you are running. Systems do not require willpower. They run automatically, protect you when your attention is elsewhere, and compound in your favor every month without any additional input from you. That is how people reach 800 and stay there. At Next Gen Finance, that shift from passive financial behavior to deliberate financial systems is the thread running through everything we build here. Subscribing means every new framework we publish shows up ready for you. No searching, no stumbling. So your financial education compounds the same way your credit score will once your system is running. I want to know where your score sits right now and which one of the 5 FICO factors you think has been your biggest weak point. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and your answers shape what we dig into next. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial or investment advice. Please do your own research and consult a licensed financial professional before making any financial decisions.